Hey everybody, it's Jason here from AVPro, and I'm with our training director, Jim Burns. Jim, how are you?
I'm great, Jason. How are you?
Cool, I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. Today's webinar, we're going to talk about some MXnet stuff with Dante. I know we're real excited about it. We've been doing a lot of work on it to get us to this point with Dante, and we've got a really cool wall plate I think people are really going to dig. So with that being said, as we're going through the presentation, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to type those into the chat box. I will be watching it as we go. Any questions that I may not get to right away, we'll leave some time at the end. So with that being said, Jim, it's all you, my friend.
Hey, thanks. I'd like to welcome everyone here today. If you are new to AVPro, what we like to do at AVPro is we provide solutions. And this goes way back to where we started with our test instruments. When we started producing test instruments, they were obviously used to find a lot of problems. And we found a lot, and we decided that the industry needed a lot of solutions. So we started producing solutions in the form of extenders, and we've moved up and on to all sorts of different type of signal distribution formats. So right now, let's talk about a couple problems that you might have. I've got three up here on the screen just as examples. What if you must distribute audio video over a large area? You've got a really big building and you've got a couple rooms far apart that you need the same AV in. Or what if you have a very large AV deployment, lots of rooms? You're going to need a cost-effective solution for that. Or you're requested to design a main conference room and they want to use the smaller conference rooms throughout the facility as overflow rooms. How would you do that? Well, the answer to that is going to be our AV over IP solution, which is MXnet. And today we're going to talk about some new solutions for the Evolution 2 ecosystem. And those three new solutions are a wall plate. We have a USB, a video in, USB, HDMI in wall plate. We also have a MXnet HDMI encoder and decoder, and they are both Dante encoders and decoders. So let's look at the model numbers and then we'll talk about our systems. First, we have the AC MXnet 1G EV2 wall plate. This is our Evolution 2 ecosystem, and WP stands for wall plate. If we take a look at it, we've got real nice features here. We have a USB audio video in and an HDMI in. And we also have our MXnet 1G Dante encoder version 2 and our AC MXnet 1G Dante decoder version 2. Now, I mentioned these are part of the MXnet ecosystems, and let's talk about that. So all of our MXnet ecosystems are AV over IP. We have a 1G ecosystem. We have a 10G ecosystem, which doesn't use any compression at all for 90% of the signals that go into it. And then we have our Evolution 2, which is also a 1G. So the Evolution 2 is a higher resolution, more fully featured 1G system that is great for advanced commercial applications and residential applications. It's better for those applications because it does more forms of video. It also has KVM. It will do immersive audio and also high contrast high dynamic range images. So how our MXnet systems work is we take our HDMI signals and they go to encoders. The encoders take those digitized signals and they will do a bit of a compression to them and they'll packetize those into IP streams. The reason they do that is so we can use IP tools, IP hardware as a solution for distribution. This is great because it lowers the cost and these systems are very robust. So these signals go through application-specific network switches, and we have a full line of those for our 1G and our 10G systems. It then goes off to decoders. The decoders take that IP information in those data packets and convert them back into HDMI. So there is a little conversion that goes back and forth. We have super low latency devices. So you're not going to see any problems with lip sync or any problems moving your mouse around on the screen in a KVM situation. So that MXnet 1G Evolution 2 system, the key benefits are it's visually lossless video. It is low power consumption. There aren't any fans. All of these endpoints are PoE. You can run copper or fiber. We have USB KVM built into it. The new units we're going to talk about today that are Dante are compatible with thousands of Dante devices that are already on the market. They are 4K 60, 444, so they handle HDR formats, and through the HDMI port in and out, they will handle immersive audio formats such as Dolby Atmos, DTS, and IMAX Enhanced. All right, let's take a look at the individual products. Here is our wall plate, and here's what comes in the box. If you take a look, it is a very clean, sleek device. As it installs, it will show the minimum amount of screws. It will fit in a standard US size gang box. Take a close look at the front. We have a video input select for USB or HDMI, and the user will select this. The reason we have a hard button instead of auto sensing is people like to plug their phones into charge as soon as they get to that conference room. If they plug their phone into charge, it will auto switch to the USB-C, and they want to use the HDMI or their computer, it won't, because someone's trying to charge their phone because they saw that outlet in the room. Through the software and our Mentor system, if you would like, through a third-party control system, you can choose either input through software or you can use the input on the front. We suggest the input button on the front. It is a little more fail-safe. This is also USB 2.0 type B host. We also have an analog audio input if you were to need it through tip ring and sleeve, and RS-232 input through tip ring and sleeve. As all of the MXnet Evolution 2 devices are, they are low latency, native 4K 60, high bitrate multi-channel audio through the HDMI. This is PoE powered, there's minimal heat, is low power consumption. This is considered a green product. Just today, right before this, I received an email from AVIXA. AVIXA was talking about the importance of green products in modern installs and how a lot of companies and school districts and government facilities are looking for those features and insisting on them. Okay, here's a simple application for it. This is integrated into our 1G EV2 ecosystem. If we take a look here, we have our source, it goes into the wall plate, we go through our switch. We have our control box, which is going to be the user interface for system control, or you're controlling through the computer. And that will tell the signal how to be routed through the switch and which endpoint to go to, so it'll go to the display. It works the same as all of our other MXnet endpoints. There is a slight difference. We do not have an option for an external power supply. So this unit is PoE only. Now, there is a nice feature that we included in all of our Evolution 2 endpoints. This one's included. It will work point to point. So that is great because we have that USB audio video input and also have the USB 2.0 with it. So between those two, this is going to work great for small huddle rooms and small conference rooms. If you take a look at the top here, we have a little rotary dial for EDID. So you can force the EDID through the wall plate for whatever is getting hooked up to it for the BYOB to make sure it works with whatever display you have in the room. You will need to add, in this configuration, point to point, a PoE injector for the wall plate. Our MXnet encoders and decoders have a 12-volt input, and you can order the power supply from us. But here's a connection diagram for point to point. Really a great solution for small commercial operations with conference rooms and huddle rooms. Everything you need, very simple, very straightforward. Okay, any questions on the wall plate before we move on to other products? I don't see anything popping up.
Yeah, no questions so far, guys. If you do have any, feel free, put them in the chat. We'll address them.
All right, so let's move on and talk about the other products we're debuting today. So here is our MXnet 1G Dante encoder version 2. So as suggested, this has a Dante audio encoding 2-channel. This is 4K 60 444, just like the rest of our units. It's optimized for video with compression artifact-free images and USB and KVM support, just as we talked about before. We'll take a close look at the front and back of the unit. Now, if you are familiar with our MXnet systems in Evolution 2, these look exactly the same. We have our status lights on the front, our OLED display. These can be turned off if need be, and you can make them flash if you need to find the encoders in the rack. For the decoders behind the displays, it's nice to turn those lights off so you don't have flashing lights behind the display, depending on the environment you're in. And we have an option of inputs. We have a 1G copper or a 1G fiber input on here. Now, if you notice, there's only one, even though we have 2 separate AV streams coming through here. We have our MXnet AV over IP stream and the Dante stream. The Dante stream is on the exact same wire or fiber as the MXnet stream, and it's there with a separate MAC address. This is really great. If you're doing a retrofit in particular, you've got one Cat 5e, Cat 6a run to a location, you need Dante and you need the AV over IP stream, no problem. It's all on a single wire. Great for the retrofits where you're likely to have one. Even if it's a new install, you only need to run one wire per location. Very helpful instead of having to run two. Okay, now let's look at the decoder. Virtually the same looking device. This has a Dante audio pass-through and breakout bridge, which is 2-channel only. It has all the same audio, video, and KVM support as the rest of the EV2 system, of course. And we are talking about, again, just a single wire bead fiber or copper for both the AV over IP signal and the Dante signal. We have an HDMI out, SPDIF out, and an analog audio out. The SPDIF out is only for the audio on the HDMI, and that will only be a 5.1, so 6 channels of audio coming out of the SPDIF. The audio out can be used to take the audio that is coming off the HDMI if it's 2-channel, or the Dante stream can come out analog out. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. So let's take a look at applications for this. Very simple. Just like the rest of it and just like the drawing I showed you before, right? We've got our camera, a USB display, 4K television set, a computer, and a source. We're going to go a little forward and we're going to add Dante to this and show you how the Dante signal flows as compared to the AV over IP signal. As we talk about Dante, Dante is an Internet Protocol audio system. It's an IPA. It takes an already digitized signal and packetizes it for transport over IP protocol devices. Same thing that we're doing with MXnet. This is a different protocol. We use it just for audio here. Dante has been in professional use since 2006. And what's important here, especially if you're in the residential market, is to realize Dante does not change the quality or do anything to the audio signal. It just packetizes an already digital signal for transport. I like to tell people it's like taking boxes off a train, taking them off, loading them onto trucks, taking those trucks, putting them down a highway, bringing them to a different rail yard to put them on a different train to get to their final destination. That's all it does. As those boxes are moved, we don't unpack the boxes, we don't look at the boxes, we don't inspect the boxes, we just take them off, packetize and move them and put them back where they belong. It's as simple as that. That's why it's such a great system. That's why there's over 3,000 compatible Dante devices on the market right now. Because a lot of people say this system just fades away into the background. So Dante applications, recording studios, live performances, post houses, broadcast, movie theaters, educational facilities, large venue, stadiums, airports, house of worship, and residential, audio distribution, and home theater distribution. And this is also used a lot if you're in the commercial market. You know that a lot of microphone arrays for conference rooms, the DSPs for those microphone arrays, and amplifiers all work off at Dante. It just makes it that much easier now to integrate them into the system, and you can run all your signals, Dante signals, through our MXnet network. We are pre-programmed out of the box to work with Dante signals as well as our MXnet AV over IP. So our Dante audio encode on here, what we can do is through the analog audio in or the HDMI in, we can take that signal and encode it as a Dante stream. Now the audio in, it's only 2 channels, so that's easy. The HDMI in, if the HDMI signal has a 2-channel signal encoded with it, that 2-channel signal can be encoded to Dante and put on the network as a Dante signal if you'd wish. Now, a lot of HDMI signals, they have a 2-channel system on there, a 2-channel signal on there, as well as a multi-channel signal. To ensure that you're getting that 2-channel signal, if you're going to use it that way, through our Mentor software, you're going to change the EDID for this encoder to say it just wants a 2-channel audio signal off that HDMI. That way you're going to get that for sure, and you're going to be able to route that through any Dante network off to any other Dante devices that you'd like. Now our decoder will take that Dante audio signal that is sent from any of the 3,000 Dante devices on the market that will encode off to our decoder, and they can be decoded out to the analog input, of course. But we can also take that signal and encode decode the Dante and encode it as a 2-channel signal on the HDMI out. So that's very useful. Now, what I should point out is the audio on the HDMI going through AV over IP and HDMI, and then the audio that we're going in analog can be 2 completely different signals. So that means we can have 2 unrelated audio streams going through the same wire to our endpoints, our decoders, that might not have anything to do with each other. I mean, maybe there's a little music system off to where one of your endpoints is by the front reception desk or something. Great, you can run your Dante audio, go out to that reception desk, take that out the analog out, and then still through the HDMI out, you can have your bulletin board or the weather or whatever's happening in the lobby there, your corporate commercials, digital signage is running there, and you can use that other signal. So you can use this as a transport and a bridge to other devices. So it's really useful. You've got 2 devices in one with all of these MXnet Dante devices that we have. All right, so how does this wire up? We'll take a look at the Dante. You know, and if you take a close look, you realize this is really the same drawing we showed you just a couple slides ago, but now we're labeling that data as Dante versus an MXnet AV over IP stream. That's because we have the same wire coming out of the encoder and decoder with both signals on it. It goes to our switch, and once it goes to our switch, we can actually create VLANs or separate it and send the audio off to just a Dante device. And well, we have our video running to our decoders also. And we'll take a look at how the Dante signal is going to flow here. So what we have is our Dante signal is going to come out right through here. We're going to encode it through our encoder. We're going to go to our switch. I'm going to pause it right here. If we take a look at the switch, we have some color codes up here. This is a trunk port. So coming out of our Dante encoder, I've got our MXnet stream and our Dante stream. This will go into our MXnet switch, and we have complete ecosystems. So we have our own line of switchers. From that MXnet switch, if you are going to multicast, which means take this one Dante signal off to multiple devices, you are going to want to set up a Dante VLAN. Guess what? You can do that through clicking your mouse on our Mentor software. We'll be having some new educational series on that. If you want to find out what our Mentor software does now, you can go to our website and look through some of our videos, or you can go to our training website and go to our MXnet online certification. And you can even skip to the module that is called Switch Management, and we'll show you how to set up a VLAN using Mentor software. It is super easy. All you need is your mouse. You don't need to program any code into the switch. Just by pointing and clicking your mouse, you're all set, and you're able to do this. Super simple. So from here, we're going to create a VLAN inside our switch. We're going to untag the MAC address for this Dante signal. It's going to go off to the Dante section of the switch, and those are going to go off to just the points where we want the Dante to go. We can also take that signal and have it continue on and send, like I said, to our endpoint, send our AV over IP signal, which is our MXnet signal, and the Dante signal to our decoders. So we're able to split that signal off to separate Dante devices or route that directly to our MXnet devices that are Dante capable. All right. Let's see. We have a couple questions here.
Yeah, Jim, I've got 2 great questions from the same person actually. First question is, can you confirm the wall plate can be powered from the decoder in a point-to-point environment, or in a point-to-point environment, do you need a PoE injector for the wall plate?
You need a PoE injector for the wall plate and point-to-point.
All right. And second question, this might be more of a maybe an ask than a question, but can we get the wall plate devices shipped with the EDID set to pass through? So EDID set to pass through from the factory out of the box. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but great suggestion. We can double check on that.
Yeah, they are. They're not. All of our devices are our MXnet devices are set to 1080p as default out of the box.
It's like the other matrix switches too. They all come with those come with a 1080p EDID, so whatever you plug into it's going to be okay.
The reason for that is it's set to the lowest common denominator, so you're going to get a picture out right away, no matter what, basically. As long as your wiring is good and your wiring works, you will get a picture. From there, and set up through Mentor, you can switch that very, very quickly with a couple of mouse clicks, and yeah, you can set it for pass-through, which is what I suggest in some situations. But I'll tell you what, with a bring your own device situation like that, point to point, I would set the EDID for whatever your display is to make it a a little easier because you don't know what kind of computer is going to come in that room or what someone's going to do or try to force in there, and you don't want them not getting a picture at all. So I would actually, particularly in a point-to-point, I would actually set it for what the display is.
The other thing to think about too is the computer itself might not scale very well. So, you know, the signal scaled out of the computer might not look very good on a big TV or big projector.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are the only questions so far. Thank you for those questions. Excellent questions.
Now, I mentioned our MXnet switches. Our MXnet switches are pre-configured out of the box to work with AV over IP and Dante both. And with our Mentor software, when you create the VLAN for Dante, it will automatically change the settings from what works perfectly for AV over IP to what works perfectly for Dante. So that's pre-programmed in there. We make it as simple as possible. Huge advantage for us having an entire ecosystem being endpoints, switch, and control. Also, if you have any issues at all, we have a rather large design staff that's sitting and ready for your questions and calls. We will help you design those systems. Any application questions you have, we're have people there all ready to help you with that. So feel free to give us a call. And what's great is if you were to have a problem for some reason, you are now going to make one call. You're not going to call someone about the endpoints, someone about the switch, or someone about the control, and have them all saying, well, you know, check this, check this, check that, and you're going to have to make 3 calls multiple times in a row just to solve your problems. We are your one-stop shop because we have the complete ecosystem. All right, I mentioned the Mentor software a couple times. This is a screen grab of our grid for switching. And this is basically our matrix because these are matrix switchers when you come right down to it, get into AV over IP. So we actually have live thumbnails preview for our inputs, and we just click on an input, click on an output, and that's how we're going to make the switch. We can create all sorts of memory in here, so you can call up switch groups, so you can call up a single memory and it will switch. You don't have to make each individual switch with your command and control every time. You can get in through remote access, depending on the network and how you have this set up. We also have our switch management I talked about. We can, live preview I mentioned. You can create video walls with this software. In the 1G system, it's unlimited video walls. We also have the ability to create mosaics. We have system diagnostics built into here for when you commission the system. You can also keep up with the system to see how the system health is. And we also have a lot of HDMI management tools, which we just talked on with, you know, mentioning EDID is one of the many that we have. Okay, so some final applications. We'll talk about integrating our Dante and our AV2 wall plate into the same system. And that's what this is going to look like. And again, very simple, one connection for every device that we have here. Pretty straightforward. I would like to always mention that we have our 10-year no BS warranty. We design our products to be future resistant and to work for many years. We're proud of that, and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is. 10-year warranty, unprecedented in the industry. Okay, we went over a lot today, 3 separate products. I'll just point out their names real quick again. Our wall plate is the AC MXnet 1G Evolution 2 wall plate. Our Dante encoder and decoder are our MXnet 1G Dante EV II and our MXnet 1G Dante DV2. And don't forget, those are complete MXnet encoders and decoders also. Dante is just piggybacked on side to make it convenient. And if you need more information, never hesitate to give us a call. Like I mentioned, we have quite a few people on staff ready to talk to you. Any other questions popped up? Looks like
no, Jim. Thanks. Yeah, those were all the questions. If anybody has any last-second questions, go ahead and put them in now while we're waiting for that. Just want to remind everybody the AVPro, Edge, and Meridio YouTube channels have a lot of really cool videos and instructions, and there's some training modules on both websites. So yeah, great presentation, Jim. I don't see any other questions, so I think we can wrap this one up.
Sure. One more thing.
Sure.
These are hitting our docks, and we are getting them in the pipeline through the distribution network. They will be available for purchase or pickup in 30 days.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for checking the webinar out. This was recorded and it will be up on YouTube, maybe even later today, tomorrow at the latest. Feel free to share that away once it's posted. And thank you again, Jim. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too, Jason. See everyone later.